The first few episodes of Chief of War provide a wealth of content to explore. Jason Momoa, who also developed, scripted, and directed the series, is in charge of the Chief of War cast. Because of the show's in-depth examination of Hawaiian history, Jason Momoa has been working on the series for a long time. Around the turn of the 18th century, when distinct kings and chiefs governed the islands of Hawaii and the Western world was starting to establish a lasting influence, the series takes place. Although the historical setting of the real world is crucial to the series, the motivations of the individuals in the first 2 episodes may be grasped at a cursory level. Renowned war chief Kaiana, portrayed by Jason Momoa, is a man divided between his passion for peace and his obligation as a warrior. The main cliffhanger from the first few episodes must be resolved before I get into the battle with King Kahekili, Temuera Morrison, in episode 1. It's hard to get more badass than this. Kaiana makes a last stand on an oceanside cliff after being injured and chased throughout the island by Kahekili's soldiers for the majority of the episode. Before being overwhelmed by several attackers, Kaiana brutally and epically murders a number of his opponents. Kaiana ultimately decides to take the only feasible course of action, which is to leap off the cliff and plunge into the water. He has achieved his goal, as his family has already set ship for the island of Hawaii. The English sailing ship, whose crew he had met and rescued earlier in the episode, is then hauled out of the water. When Kaiana wakes up, he discovers that the ship is leaving the Hawaiian Islands and that he is now in their hands. The actual Kaiana was documented in history as a traveler on the fur trader Captain John Muir's ship, which he took to China, the Philippines, and other places. The story starts with King Kahekili, the king of Maui, attempting to convince Kaiana to rejoin him. He says Oahu is conspiring against him and that Kaiana is supposed to fulfill a prophecy about the unity of the islands. In order to prevent full-scale carnage, they consent to an invasion of Oahu on the condition that Kaiana and his family sneak in and murder a priest. But it turns out that there was no real conspiracy among the troops on Oahu, and Kahekili exploited this as a pretext to subjugate and murder political opponents. Following a bloody battle, Kahekili seizes control of Oahu, but in the process, he infuriates Kaiana and his son, Prince Cupule, Brandon Finn, who are incensed at his deception. Kahekili's motivations are further revealed in episode 2, which explains that they are all related to how he interpreted the prophecy. The foretold monarch might simply be a dictator prepared to carry out unimaginable deeds in order to fortify the nation, according to Kahekili, who is pushing matters into his own hands rather than letting the prophecy unfold organically. In essence, he is using prophecy as a pretext to use violence to gain control. Kahumanu, Lucienne Buchanan, is King Kahekili's niece and the daughter of a chief named Moku, Moses Goods. In order to prevent Kahekili from disrupting the border, Moku chooses to marry Kahumanu to a chief in Hawaii and plans to bring his daughter and wife there shortly. Kahumanu refuses to get married and is obstinate about these traditions. When Kahumanu informs Kaiana that she would be starting a new life in Hawaii, he decides to accompany her in search of safety. As he leads Kahekili's troops away from them, Kaiana tells her to lead his family there for protection. Kahumanu defies tradition by letting a British sailor who has been marooned leave with them before they leave. Earlier in the episode, Kahumanu meets with Tala, the seer, on the beach. She receives a powerful prophecy explaining that her deeds will cause her people to be destroyed. She wants to know if her new spouse will make her happy, but the seer tells her that there is only one way to be free. This journey to liberty will necessitate the assistance of a guardian, most likely Kaiana. The episode's conclusion, in which Kahumanu's reception of a British sailor marks the start of the end, further supports Tala's assertion that the gods fear Kahumanu. The episode concludes with a Hawaiian traveling with British passengers and a British man traveling with Hawaiians, signifying an impending cultural conflict.